The helicopters kept getting in the way. Zen barely kept his UMF-3 from colliding with a Black Hawk, mashing his control stick left and flailing away at the last possible instant. He was so close to the helicopter's blades that the wash whipped his wings into a nearly uncontrollable spin, despite the computer's efforts to help him steady the plane. Before he could fully recover, he found himself in the middle of a stream of lead thrown by the two ZSU-23 anti-aircraft guns he was assigned to hit. Fortunately, the guns were being sighted manually, and the gunners couldn't keep up with Zen's hard zag back to the right. But the sharp maneuvers made it impossible for him to lock on his target. Zen pressed the trigger as the four-barreled mobile anti-aircraft unit on the left slid through his targeting pipper, while he simultaneously tried to walk his Flight Hawk back into the target by sticking his rudder with a quick jerk left. That might have worked, in a plane like an A-10A Thunderbolt, built for low-speed, low-level target thrashing. But the UMF-3 Flight Hawk was a different beast altogether, originally designed for high-altitude, high-Mach encounters. Not that she couldn't fly down here in the mud, just that she didn't necessarily appreciate it. Zen found himself fighting for control as the small craft jerked herself right and left, shells bursting from beneath her belly as she tried to follow his commands. The spin had taken him too low, and his cannon fire had slowed him down. The unmanned aircraft was in serious danger of turning into a brick. Stubbornly, Zen ignored the computerized voice that warned of an impending stall. He goosed off enough slugs to nail the flak dealer, then tossed off a few prayers to get the Flight Hawk's nose pointing skyward. The anti-aircraft gun exploded with a brilliant crimson glow just as the assault leader announced that the helos were on the ground. But before Zen could draw a breath to relax, the radar warning receiver in the lead Flight Hawk went berserk, screaming that an enemy fighter had somehow gotten close enough to launch AMRAAM air-to-air missiles at the helicopters Zen was supposed to be protecting. Major Mac Knife Smith grinned as he popped his F-16 up over the mountains he'd been using to mask his approach. He'd snuck in behind the two fighters tasked to keep him at bay. The four helicopters carrying the enemy assault force floated naked in front of him. 4 helicopters, 4 missiles, 4 turkeys ready to be gassed. A quartet of AMRAAMs slid off his wings in quick succession. Preset for the encounter, the missiles turned on their active seekers, each homing in on their targets as their solid-fuel rockets burst them forward at speeds approaching Mach 4. It was overkill, really. The helicopters were less than 5 miles away. The missiles barely lit their wicks before nailing their targets. The helos were history before their pilots even realized they were targeted. Mac didn't have time to gloat. One of the helicopter's escorts flashed for his tail. Its pilot, Jeff Stockard, had been caught with his pants down, and now he wanted revenge. Of course, the fact that he didn't have time to gloat did not actually mean that Knife wouldn't gloat. On the contrary, he flicked on his mic and gave a roar of laughter as he took his Viper into a nearly 90-degree turn, pulling close to 13 Gs. The stock plane would quite possibly have rattled apart. Knife most certainly would have blacked out from the force of gravity pelting his body. But nothing at the Air Force High Technology Advanced Weapons Center, aka Dreamland, was stock. The F-16's forward canards and reshaped delta wings were fashioned from an experimental titanium-carbon combination that made them several times stronger than the ones the factory had first outfitted her with. Mac's flight suit was designed to keep blood flowing evenly throughout his body at 15 Gs, negative as well as positive. It couldn't keep his heart from double pumping as he took the turn and managed to get his pursuer in his sights. He got off a half-second slap shot as the enemy zigged downward. The odds against hitting the small, nimble UMF fighter were at least 100 to 1, but he got close enough to force the SOB to break downward, keeping it an easy target for the F-16. Knife laughed so loud his helmet almost came off. He hadn't had this much fun in months. Zen worked hard now. His breath grew short and the muscles in his shoulders hardened into cannonballs as he tried desperately to break his airplane out of the low-energy scissors he'd been tricked into. Not tricked, exactly. He'd blundered into it, failing to use his airplane properly, failing to use his head.